What exactly are people seeing when they talk about a mutant deer sighting, and why is it catching so much attention right now? To understand this, let us start with what has been reported. The term mutant deer gets thrown around whenever people capture photos or videos of animals that look unusual, sometimes with physical deformities, sometimes with unexpected features that don't quite fit our everyday image of a healthy whitetail or mule deer. Recently, clips circulating online show deer with oddly shaped antlers, missing patches of fur, swollen faces, or extra protrusions that some interpret as mutations. Others think it could be disease, injury, or even environmental stress. The fascination comes from how eerie these animals look, and how the images spread through social media where the strange and unexplained naturally goes viral. When we talk about features, the first thing people notice is appearance. In a typical healthy deer, antlers are symmetrical, coats are sleek, eyes are bright, and movement is graceful. In these sightings, the opposite is often true. One of the most widely shared images shows a deer with a large growth on its head that twists the antlers into a tangled mess, almost like branches curling unnaturally. Another shows a deer with facial swelling that distorts its muzzle, making it look almost alien. To the average viewer, this appearance screams mutation, but to wildlife biologists, these could just as easily be explained by tumors, infections, or injuries during velvet growth. That's the first technical layer worth pointing out. Antlers are living tissue covered in velvet before they harden, and if damaged during growth, they can produce wild, irregular shapes. A broken pedicle can cause antlers to sprout in unusual directions. Similarly, parasites and viral infections can lead to swelling or hair loss, which dramatically alter a deer's look. Performance is another aspect to consider. Though animals aren't designed products, so performance here refers to survival, movement, reproduction, and adaptability. A deer with misshapen antlers might struggle in dominance battles during rut season, but antlers are not the only factor in survival. Even a deer with odd growths can still graze, run, and mate, though it may face disadvantages compared to healthier rivals. On the other hand, if a growth affects vision, breathing, or jaw alignment, that's a serious performance handicap. For example, deer with swollen faces may have trouble eating, which weakens them and shortens their lifespan. From a scientific angle, performance issues linked to these deformities provide clues about the root causes. Chronic wasting disease, a prion disease known to affect deer populations, leads to emaciation, drooling, and odd behavior. Episodic hemorrhagic disease can cause facial swelling and lameness. Both of these illnesses significantly degrade performance, and to an untrained observer, the result may look like mutation. Design elements. If we think in terms of how nature designs animals through evolution, highlight why these sightings feel so shocking. Deer are generally admired for their elegance, symmetry, and natural beauty. They are woodland creatures that embody balance between strength and grace. When their design seems corrupted, the contrast makes them feel monstrous, almost like something from folklore. People have long told stories of strange beasts in the woods, from skinwalkers to wendigos, and when a deer looks unusual, it feeds directly into those cultural archetypes. A deer with overgrown antlers, for instance, resembles mythical depictions of cursed forest spirits. A hairless deer resembles creatures from cryptid lore. This interplay between biological irregularity and cultural imagination is a key design element in why the term mutant deer resonates so strongly in the public sphere. Unique selling points in this context really mean what makes these sightings different from the thousands of normal deer videos online. The unique factor is the shock value combined with authenticity. Unlike staged horror content, a shaky phone video of a real animal staggering through a yard has rawness that makes it compelling. The uncertainty about whether it's mutation, disease, radiation, or something supernatural keeps people engaged. For hunters and wildlife managers, the unique point is also a call to attention. Unusual deer may signal emerging disease outbreaks that threaten entire populations. For casual viewers, the unique point is curiosity and fear. How can something so familiar look so strange? Let's dive deeper into possible technical explanations. Antler deformities are among the most common features that get labeled as mutations. Antlers grow from pedicles, bony structures on the skull. During growth, they are covered with velvet, a living tissue rich in blood supply. If a deer injures its antlers during this velvet stage, the injury can redirect growth, causing strange curves or extra tines. In some cases, hormonal imbalances caused by testicular injury can result in antlers that never shed velvet, leaving a gnarled, perpetual growth called a cactus buck. To someone unfamiliar, that looks like a mutant deer straight out of a horror story, but it's actually a biological response to hormonal changes. Another explanation is parasitic infection. Nasal botflies, for example, can infest deer and cause grotesque swelling of the face. Mange mites can cause hair loss, leaving a deer looking hairless, gray, and gaunt, which strongly resembles popular depictions of cryptid creatures. Tumors and abscesses, often caused by bacterial infections entering through wounds, can create large bulges that distort a deer's face or body. These are natural occurrences, though they look unnatural to us. Environmental factors are another dimension. Exposure to toxins, pollutants, or radiation could theoretically cause mutations. Historical events like Chernobyl showed us that wildlife in contaminated areas sometimes developed deformities. While there is little evidence that widespread pollution is creating mutant deer in North America, localized contamination could affect individuals. Heavy metals, pesticides, and industrial runoff may alter development in subtle ways, and people encountering one such deer may immediately jump to the conclusion of mutation. From a performance standpoint, diseased or deformed deer often act differently. Viewers sometimes report these deer moving slowly, appearing unafraid of humans, or staggering in unusual ways. This lack of normal alertness can make them seem uncanny. Chronic wasting disease specifically affects neurological function, making deer act lethargic or confused. This behavioral performance feeds into the perception of unnaturalness. Humans expect deer to bolt at the first sign of contact, so when a deer lingers awkwardly with a strange appearance, it amplifies the sense of otherworldliness. On the design side, another element is symmetry. Humans are hardwired to perceive symmetry as a marker of health and beauty. Deer normally embody this with symmetrical racks of antlers and balanced bodies. When symmetry is disrupted, one antler missing, one eye swollen shut, fur patchy only on one side, the effect is disturbing. This is a psychological reaction as much as a biological one. It's the same reason humans feel uneasy when looking at faces with subtle asymmetry. In deer, the break in natural design creates an instinctive sense that something is wrong. The cultural dimension deserves attention too. Deer occupy a unique place in folklore, spirituality, and popular imagination. In many Native American traditions, deer symbolize gentleness, guidance, and the bridge between physical and spiritual worlds. In European myth, the white stag is a symbol of purity and the hunt for the unattainable. When people see a deer that appears corrupted, hairless, swollen, or monstrous, it inverts that symbolism, transforming the animal from a spiritual guide into a warning. This makes mutant deer sightings particularly compelling for audiences who already consume paranormal or cryptid content. A video of a strange deer can be framed not just as a biological oddity, but as evidence of myths like the Wendigo or Skinwalker. Unique selling points also include the visual shock appeal. The internet thrives on visuals that spark curiosity and fear. A normal deer grazing by the roadside is background noise. A deer with twisted antlers and glowing eyes caught in a flashlight beam becomes a viral post. The ability to make audiences stop scrolling is what drives content around these sightings. The fact that they are real, not computer-generated, adds authenticity that CGI creatures can't replicate. Even skeptics are drawn in, because questioning the cause, disease or mutation still keeps them engaged with the content. Now, from a wildlife management perspective, mutant deer sightings provide data points. Hunters, biologists, and conservation officers use reports of deformed or diseased animals to track population health. If many sightings cluster in one region, it could suggest an outbreak of chronic wasting disease or episodic hemorrhagic disease, which require monitoring and sometimes drastic measures like culling. Thus, while the public consumes mutant deer as spectacle, professionals see them as signals of underlying ecological stress. Looking at performance in terms of ecosystem, deer with visible deformities may play a role in natural selection. Predators like coyotes or wolves target weaker individuals. A deer with impaired movement due to disease is more likely to be taken down, removing potentially infected individuals from the population. This keeps the herd overall healthier. From an ecological design perspective, the presence of mutant-looking deer might be evidence that natural regulation is still at work, even if humans find the sight unsettling. Media framing is another layer. When a